Hello, welcome to our webinar, How to Easily Prepare the New Jersey CIS and Child Support Worksheets within Easysoft Family Law Online. After you've registered, you'll be able to access our site by going to easysoftfamilyonline.com. You'll use the email and password you set at registration to log in. Once you've logged in, you will be on our home screen, and this is where all of your matters will be listed. You'll see in the upper left, this is set to My Matters. If you change this to All Matters and you have multiple users in your firm, you'll be able to see everything that each user is working on. The first thing you want to make sure you do is go to Settings in the upper right, click on the Firm tab, and fill in all of your information. So this will auto-populate into all new files you create. When you're ready to begin a new case, you can click on New CIS, enter in your matter name, a file number if you use that field for your firm, and click on Create New CIS Matter. If you utilized one of our other platforms, either the desktop or cloud version, you'll have your CIS files from that software. You'll be able to import using this screen. Once you import your file, you'll get a successful message at the bottom. You can import multiple files at one time. If you choose to do it that way, you'll receive an email once all of your files have imported. To get back to that home screen, just click on Matters, and you'll see the new one I just imported is listed here. Once you're ready to begin or continue working on your CIS, you'll click on the file, and the page will load. So you'll see that we have 4 tabs here. And notice that some are still loading. I did pick a file with a lot of information in it, so it will take a few seconds to load. Our first tab is Case Data. Then you have CIS, you have Attachments, and the Child Support Worksheets. Under Case Data, this is all of your general information for the case. And I know everyone has their own workflow, so you can choose to start under Case Data, CIS, or Child Support Worksheets. Any corresponding information between those tabs will autofill, and you will not have to do any duplicate entries. So under the general information is just the date your file was opened, the matter name you entered upon creating that CIS, and then you'll be able to enter in all of the other information listed. Anytime you see a thick dark line, you can click on it. This is our accordion style that we've created to make it easier to find all of the fields within our software. So you have your marriage, civil union, domestic partnership information, the place of marriage, relief requested, and the case venue. At the bottom of each page, there is a notes section. Within this notes section, you'll see that it says for internal use only. You can note any internal messages, and these will not print on any forms. Next, you have your plaintiff information. So it's all of the information pertaining to the plaintiff, the name, address, city, any phone numbers, their date of birth, their birthplace, And all of the employer information will go in this section as well. Defendant is set up the same way. So you'll see general information, the birthplace, and employment. The children's page is a little bit different. So you can enter in the children from that specific relationship and note any from other relationships. To add a child in, you will just click on the Add button, enter in their information, and click Save. The children will be listed out and you'll be able to see all of the information. If you need to edit anything, you just click on the Edit option over to the right, and it'll open up your the pop-up box, and you can update that information. You'll have your court information, so the judge and the clerk info. The firm information for your firm will auto-populate from the settings I showed you when we first logged in. You can enter in the opposing attorney and any miscellaneous parties. So we give you 3 sections here. You can set the role if you need to. So we do give you an accountant and an expert, and then you'll be able to enter in that information. Our next section is our CIS. So we'll go to Part A, and that's the case information. So these are all your pertinent dates, your date of statement, divorce, or dissolution of that partnership. The birth dates will autofill from the case data section if you did start there. If you start in the CIS section, they will fill in on the case data automatically. You have your issues in dispute over to the right. The plaintiff's name and address as well as defendant will fill in as well. And then the children are in this section at the bottom. Part B is just the employment information. So this is just for the insurance obtained through the employment or business, and you'll be able to list that out. But remember that the employer information is filled in under each party under case data for the plaintiff and defendant. Part C is your income. We offer you a section for last year's income, present earned income and expenses, current year-to-date earned income, and the year-to-date gross unearned income sections. So you'll see that you have your average gross weekly income. Please note that the amounts that you're going to enter in are in weekly amounts. There's a button here that says Import Income from Worksheet. So if you did choose to start in the child support worksheets and you entered that income already, there's no need to re-enter it into this section. You can just click this button here and it'll autofill from the child support worksheets. Current year-to-date earned income is the same, so you can import that from worksheets as well. You'll have your tax deductions and other deduction sections down here. And then any year-to-date gross unearned income, you're going to add that in with a pop-up box. At the bottom is the additional information, so you can answer these questions that we have listed out here for that specific income. Part D is your monthly expenses. This section includes shelter, transportation, and your personal. At the bottom, you will have a summary of monthly expenses that you can view. So Schedule A has your shelter, and we do have this split. So the first section is for a tenant if they're a renter, and then if they are a homeowner, you'll go down to this section. So the tenant, you'll enter in the rent, and the homeowner, you have your mortgage. Then we have a tenant and homeowner section here. So those are bills that overlap for both parties. So you'll have your cell phone, your cable TV, any internet charges. Schedule B includes your transportation. So any auto payments, registration, maintenance, and commuting expenses. And then Schedule C has personal, so food at home and household supplies, school lunches, restaurants, and then any unreimbursed only would go in this section as well. So medical, eye care, orthodontics, and medical insurance. You also have the club dues, sports, camps, vacations, and then any prior existing support obligations at the bottom. Once you've entered all of that in, you'll have your summary. You can view that summary right here. It'll show you the totals for that joint lifestyle and then the current lifestyle. At the top of this page, we also offer a historical expenditure. This is not required for the CIS, but can be entered for informational purposes. So you'll just want to check Show Individual Historical Expenditure. And this is going to open up 3 more columns for the plaintiff, the defendant, and then for the children. And you can enter in any of that information over to the right. In Part E, we have our assets. So you'll have real property, bank accounts, vehicles, any tangible personal property, stocks and bonds, pensions or retirement plans, IRAs, any businesses or partnerships, life insurance, loan receivables, or any other assets that would fall into this category. What you can do is click on Add Asset. You'll be able to choose the type from our drop-down menu. Enter in that information accordingly. You'll be able to enter in the title holder, so plaintiff, defendant, or joint. Any details, the current value. You can also note if it's an estimated, to be decided, or an unknown, and then a date of evaluation. There is an asset distribution that you can enter in and enter the percentage that is going to be equitable distribution. Once you've entered that information in, you'll see that it'll list out according to the type. And I have noted here 2 vehicles. If I needed to edit anything, I'll just click on the edit icon over to the right, and I can update this accordingly. So I can put in a value, 15,000. Save that, and then you'll see my value is listed out. And then at the bottom, you'll be able to see the total gross, total subject to equitable distribution, and then total not subject. The next part of next section, Part E, is your liabilities. And this is set up the same way as the assets. So you have your mortgages, other long-term debts, revolving charges, short-term debts, and contingent liabilities. And you'll be able to click Add Liability the same way we did on the Assets section, choose your type, and enter in that information accordingly. Part F is just your statement of special problems, and this is a free text section. You can enter in that information here. And then Part G is just a checklist to make sure that you have all the required attachments. Our next section, attachments, includes confidential litigant sheet, insurance certification, prior or pending family actions, employment benefits summary, and your commissions and bonuses not included. So if I were to load the confidential litigant sheet, you'll see here it has its own tabs. So you have your common info, the plaintiff info, and additional information, as well as defendant and defendant additional information. So this information is pulling in from those other sections, as I noted earlier. Any corresponding fields will fill in. The plaintiff information also fills in. And then you'll just mark the case information at the top, yes or no. And then you can make any notes, as I pointed out earlier, that we do have notes in each page. Under the additional information, they can note out the defendant health coverage and any driving related information. Defendant is set up the same way, as well as that additional information page. You have your insurance certification. You'll be able to add in any of the information for life insurance, health insurance, auto, home, or any miscellaneous insurances. As you can see, you have your add button, so you will get your pop-up, and you can add in that information for each of those insurances. Prior and pending family actions is set up the same way. Can add in that docket number, the county, state, and deposition reached. Employments and benefit summary is the free text section. And then any commissions and bonuses not included is set up the same way. Our last section is our child support worksheets. When you first start a new CIS, you'll have one worksheet set for your file. What's good about our software is that we have an option to copy worksheets, so you don't need to make multiple files. You can just create multiple worksheets within that file and compare your numbers. We'll come back to that feature in a moment. So under the case information, you'll see that there's a worksheet name. They're always defaulted to worksheet 1, worksheet 2, and so on. You can change this name. You'll come in and enter in the custodial parent, the number of children, and then if there's any over the age of 12. You'll see that we have an import from CIS button. You'll see a couple of these throughout the worksheets. So if you did start in the CIS tab, you can import that information. So all of the information is the same across the board, and there'll be less mistakes throughout your file. We have the number of annual overnights, so you can enter in the custodial parent and the non-custodial manually. You can enter in overnight allocations, or you can also set equal parenting. Our software does account for equal parenting and the Wunsch-Deffler versus Deffler case. So if you use this, you'll see later on that we note that and what the difference would be with child support if you did use equal parenting. There is the PPR household income test, and that's only required for shared parenting. Your next tab is your income. So as I said earlier, there's that import from CIS button. So depending upon which tab you start in, you can use that information. Please note when you're entering in your values, all amounts must be weekly. So this is your taxable income. And then we have your non-taxable income section. We have a separate tab for alimony. Please make sure, since the guidelines changed after January 1st, 2019, that you do have this set to non-tax deductible. If you have any questions, you can just hit the alimony help box and it'll explain that information to you. You can enter in the alimony paid and received for each party, and this will autofill right into your worksheet. So let's just say we're doing 200. Tax withholding status. So here's your number of withholding allowances, and you can equalize that withholding. You can also mark the marital filing status in this section. And then your tax method will autofill or mark the radio button appropriately. Generally, you'll see these marked as Appendix 9-H. If you ever see it mark the Circ E, that means one or more parties is earning more than $3,600 a week. So once you've entered in your information for these 4 tabs, what's going to happen is at the top, your support order will be updating as you're entering in that information. So right now, this is telling me I need to use a shared parenting worksheet. You can either click right onto the worksheet itself or just click go to order. This is going to bring me down to the bottom and show me the child support order, which is now updating. Perfect. So we'll go back to the top and I'll show you how this is set up. So we have our gross taxable income entered in here. See how it's grayed out. Any grayed out fields throughout the software are auto-filling from another section. You have your adjusted gross taxable income, the net taxable income, the percentage share of income and basic child support, any overnights that are noted. So you'll see here that this did autofill because we chose equal parenting. So it's a 50-50. Any shared parenting adjustments, child and health care expenses. This is an important section. So what you want to make sure is as you're going through your worksheet, if you ever see a section with 3 dots, you want to click on that, and that's actually going to open up another worksheet to fill in. So you can enter in the child's share of health insurance premium, unreimbursed health care, and any court-approved extraordinary expenses. So I could just add in another 500 here, and that'll update my worksheet. Perfect. You'll see that this auto-filled from that $500 I just entered in for the parent of the alternate residence. And then we have our child support obligations as $236. This is just the base child support. We still need to go review any of our worksheet alerts. So I'm going to pop over here. So right now our withholdings are lower than allowed. You will need to justify. So I would need to go back and make sure my withholding status is set properly. The support amount was adjusted higher by $58 as one or more children is over the age of 12, because remember, teenagers cost more money. And then this is also noting that equal parenting was applied for my total overnights, and that's set for 366 just to make it even. So because I used equal parenting, what I want to do now is check my comments, rebuttals, and deviations tab. Within this tab, it's going to list out all of those specifics that are on the worksheets. So you'll see here that this is saying if the adjustment that is called for in the Wunsch-Deffler versus Deffler case is applicable, the child support amount at line 35 should be decreased by $53. In our software, you will need to do this math manually. This is just letting you know that equal parenting was applied, and you will need to either increase or decrease according to these comments. So please make sure you check your worksheet alerts and then your comment section when you're creating your worksheets. So let's say I wanted to flip the values of the parents and I want to make the plaintiff the parent of the alternate residence. So what I can do is in a worksheet 2, and I can just click copy worksheet, and then it'll create worksheet 2, 3, as many as you need to compare. I can come into that worksheet. What I can do is when I come in, I can just click on flip the values. And then this will give me different, it may give me different results. It may give me the same results, but what you can do is you can check by creating multiple worksheets within our software. Once you find the number that works for your file, what you can do is you want to make sure there's a checkbox here. It says default worksheet. You want to make sure that that is checked, because if this is not checked and you wanted to print worksheet 2, for instance, that wouldn't actually print out. So you want to make sure you have default worksheet checked on the proper worksheet you'd like to use when going to court. What you can do as well is there's a summary in the upper right. We'll load this up. Here it is. So you'll see that you can compare up to 5 worksheets if you want to go through and compare the two parties and maybe flipping custodial and a non-custodial parent. You can print that out and you can also keep that with your records, along with the main worksheet you might be working on. So once you've completed your file and you need to print out your documents, we're going to click print in the upper right. Each section is split out, so you'll have your case information section. So you can just print out the case information statement. You can print out that historical expenditure I explained to you, that's noted under monthly expenses, and you can check that for those 3 extra columns. You can print out your assets and liabilities distribution and then the case data. You can go ahead and print out your worksheets. Remember, you have to have that default worksheet checked. So whichever one you're printing is the proper one. You have your custodial childcare worksheet, non-custodial, custodial other dependent deductions, non-custodial, and you can print all at the same time as well. You can go ahead and print out all of the attachments with their specific information. And then you can print out any background data. So I did mention earlier, those internal notes will not print on your CIS, but you can print them out separately to keep with your records. You can also print your income and tax report and any of the worksheet alerts. We give you the option at the bottom to print to PDF or print to Microsoft Word, whichever you prefer. Make sure you hit save prior to leaving. You will get an alert asking if you want to actually leave the page in case you haven't hit save before leaving. Make sure that you're using the buttons within the software and try not to use any of the back arrows within the browser itself when you're toggling to another page. If you need to reach us at Easysoft, you can call 800-905-7638 and you'll be able to reach any of the departments here. You can also click on support at the bottom of any page. This will bring you to our community site. We have our articles for you, so if you need to review any of the articles within the software for the CIS, we're always willing to hear from our clients, so please send us any feedback you have. You can also create a support case 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and of course,